Reese from RJC Models here, and I'm here with you today with part 3 of the RS1800 Escort build. So in the last episode, we put in the 2 seats and the racing harnesses. So I showed you how to scratch build those ones. So in this episode, I'll be showing you how I do my dashboards. So what I'm going to do is, I don't think you guys can see that very well. There we go. I'm going to show you guys how I detail up my dashboards and also put the decals on for the dash dials themselves. So what I'm going to do is just move the camera down and then we shall get on with this episode. Right, okay. So I've got off screen here, I've got a reference picture of the dashboard of a mk2 Escort rally car, like this one's going to be. And it looks on the majority of the switches on the dashboard there are going to be a chrome, sort of silvery, they're a chrome colour on there, so like a sort of aluminium-y sort of colour. So what I've actually done is I've just to have a look, I've gone ahead and painted most of the switches on there before I show you guys how I do it. So what I actually do is with my switches and that sort of thing, I take a very small brush. So I mean this is a 00, very, very nice round brush, something just like that. So on these I'm actually going to put on an ignition and a hazard warning switch. So the red I'm going to use a red for the ignition switch, which is the one just here by the driver's leg. So this one just here, and this one there is the hazard warning switch. So what I'm going to do is I've got some Humbrol RC421 red, so that's just the red I'm going to use. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit off of the lid there, so you get a nice little bit on the lid. I'm just going to use the very, very tip of this brush. Just going to pop it into the tip, just the tip into the end of, the tip of the brush into the red paint there. And what I'm going to do is just very, very lightly find the button I want to paint. So it's this one just there, and I'm literally just gonna dab at it. I'm not gonna go mad and paint it in. I'm literally, as you can see, just using some very light dab pulling. So I'm dabbing, and I'm sort of doing that. So I'm just dabbing at it and I'm pulling away. Obviously, because I'm doing a red over a black, it may take a couple of coats, but I think actually we're okay with this one. So I'm just going to carefully do the sides in the same manner. Just dab at it a bit like that. So there we go, there is the red switch on there. Another thing I did notice with the Escorts is that the needles on some of the dials are an actual orangey colour. So what I might try and do is put in a little line of orange just to signify the orange line on there. So what I'll probably do is the same thing. Actually, what I might do, thinking about it now, is that on the dials itself, so a red line on the, so here's so you've got your dial, the line on the sort of, there's a little block of red line where the needle goes to on the vehicle. So what I might do is just paint that orange block in, and it's not red, it's orange. So I'm just going to use a little bit of X6 orange. Again, I'm going to do the same as I did with the red there. I'm just going to take the end of my brush, dip a little bit in. Because I'm using Tamiya brush paint, it may take a few coats, and I'm literally just going to dab at it. So I'm just going to dab at the end, just creating a little orange mark, a little bit, just like that. So you might not be able to see it straight away, but there are 2 dials on the dashboard there. So I'm just going to wait for that to dry, and then I'll probably just dab that back in again. There we go. Okay, so that's most of the main switches done. Let me just put in that hazard light switch. So again, I'm going to take a wee bit more, not a lot more, and just find the ridge, because the good thing about these dashboards and these switches is they're slightly raised off of the dashboard, so just doing like gentle strokes will pick it out. And that's all I want to do, is just pick the button out. So there we go. I'm just taking a nice even little strokes just to pick that switch out, and it's not the hardest thing to do. So it's just taking a bit of, what I'm doing is here, as you can see, I'm using the table and a good set of spring tweezers with the dashboard blue text to the end. So what I'm doing is just using the steadiness of the table and the tweezers just to highlight that switch a little bit like that, just to get it in there. Okay, that's looking pretty neat. So there we go, that's the dashboard all painted in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that dry for a minute, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you the decals. So now that stuff's dry, it's looking very, very well, if I do say so myself. I'm quite enjoying this one. It looks very, very nice. What I've actually done is I've got the decals for the dials, the dash dials, in some clamps here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to, off screen just over here, I've got some water, so I'm just going to plop it in. And what I do is I put it in decal side down first, and then as it soaks the water up, I turn it over. So I'll do that with both, because there's two dials, lots of dials and stuff on this one. So what I'm going to do is, so I'll do, there's the other one, just going to plop that into the water there, and then I'm just going to wait for that to soak up. One thing I'm going to do also is I'm going to cut out and get the steering column and the steering wheel ready. What I'm actually going to do is, so with this one, is what I'm going to do is take this off here like that. I'm going to like that. There we go. And now the same there. And I'm actually going to glue the steering wheel to the steering column. I'm just going to. Sorry, that was a bit twisted then, so I'll just untwisting it. There we go. So there we go. There's a steering wheel. I'm going to take that off there. And what I'm going to do is paint the middle bit grey. Give the there's some detail of nuts and bolts and things on there, so I'm going to give that a detail, and then we shall glue it all together. Let me just take that number off of there and that off of there. So I'll show you again anyway. I mean, you've seen me do this 1,000 times. What I'm going to do is use a soft sponge just to take that nub off, just so we get it all in the. I'm just going to take the other side first, just a bit. That nub's just a little bit too ferocious for the sponge. So now I've taken the nub down a little bit. I'm just going to use the sponge just to keep the shape of the steering wheel, so we don't get rid of that nice circular shape, because you wouldn't want that now. Also, what I'm going to do is with this one is I'll put the 12 o'clock mark on these racing vehicles. They have a little yellow mark at the 12 o'clock mark, so you know that your wheels are straight. So what I'm going to do is also put that on there, and I'll show you how I do that. It's quite very, very simple. So I actually paint my own on by hand. So that's now nice and flat and smooth, sorry. So I'm going to pop that on there just to see how it fits, and it fits absolutely lovely. So what I'll do is I'll grab some extra thin and pop that on there. Pop that aside till wait for it to dry. So now the decals should be ready. Let me just get rid of that. What you want is just so it moves on its own, just a little bit like that. So if you can see it very well. So you can see the decals just moving on its own. I'm going to bring the dashboard in, and then I'm going to just get a cocktail stick or a toothpick. Just slide it on a little bit like that. Get it nice and straight. There we go. Just gonna grab the edge, and what I'll do is, instead of sliding the decal, what I like to do is I slide the paper out nice and slowly to one side. And then what I'll do is I'll move the decal around a little bit like that till I get it where I want it. There we go. A little bit just like that. Sorry if I have my head in the way there, guys. A little bit like that. And then I'll take a Q-tip, just wet the end. It's that one, that's a dirty one. So just wet the end, and then what I'll do is I'll just roll it in there like that, and that's pushing all of the excess water that's trapped under the decal. Don't slide it, because if you slide it, you'll put you at risk of tearing the decal. So what you do is you just roll it a little bit like that, and then there you have quite a nice set of dials. Excuse me, like that. So what I'm going to do is just do the same with the other one, just so if you guys missed it. So this one, as you can see, is on the move already. So I'm going to take my cocktail stick, line it all up nicely. What I actually do is I actually use a little bit of moisture from the paper, the backing paper, on the plastic, just so I've got a little bit of water on there. So I'm just going to slide that onto there like that. Slide the paper out, straighten the decal up just with a little nudge. So because this one's a little bit smaller, it might need a bit more of a, there we go, a bit more coaxing. A little bit like that. Cocktail stick, wet it, and roll. So what I'm doing is just rolling it like you'd be cleaning your ears out. Just rolling it in between my thumbs, my finger and my thumb. And it's just, there we go, a little bit like that. Soaking up that extra water, and there you go. There's a very nice dashboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away, attach the steering wheel, paint the steering wheel up, and then I'll come back for the last bit and show you how I'm going to paint the 12 o'clock mark on. What I'm going to do now is on the, so the steering wheel's all done now. On the top of the steering wheel, again with my fine brush, I'm going to put a what they call a 12 o'clock mark. So it's just a mark on the top of the steering wheel, just so they know where the wheels are when they're straight. So again, this is what I'm going to do. I've got some XF3 flat yellow just here. So what I'm going to do is just grab a little bit on the end of a brush. Again, it's because it's Tamiya and it's brush painting, it may need more than one coat. Actually, it needs a good stir. Let me just give it a quick stir. So this is quite an old yellow. It's probably best if you use a new yellow. So I'm just going to give it a quick stir, just to get the paint together. Sorry about this, guys. Usually I wouldn't have done this on a camera. There we go. So I'm just going to find a bit of tissue. Actually, what I'm going to do is the flat yellow I've got in here, to save wasting it, I'm just going to take a little bit on the brush, on the point there, again the same the other side. So because it's Tamiya, you may need more than one coat. So I've got a little blob of yellow just on the end there. And all I'm going to do is, again, very, very light strokes. I'm going to use the side of the brush, and I'm just going to blob in the mark, taking my time, not to make it look too big. It's probably a little bit big, but that's okay. So because it is Tamiya, I'm brush painting with a Tamiya paint. I think I'm going to have to go over it with a second coat, but that's no problem. Okay. There we go. So, I don't know if you guys can see that just there. Just a yellow mark on top of the steering wheel, just a significant where the 12 o'clock mark is and where the wheels are straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go off camera, do a few other bits and pieces, and then come right back with you guys. So while I was off camera, what I've actually done is I've gone away and I've installed the dashboard just there, as you can see. I've also gone away and installed the gear lever, the gear stick just there, and I've also installed the handbrake just there. So that's actually just about it for this part this time. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. So keep your eyes out for the next part, which will be installing the engine and the radiator, getting that all ready. I may even install the roll cage as well, which I actually got off camera just down here, and that's all ready to go in on top of the interior detail, just something a bit like that. Okay, so keep your eyes out for this one. Come over to Facebook, RJC Models Official, come and have a look. Also check out Smooth Dungeon over on Facebook and Misfits Plus One. So check those guys out. There's some brilliant pages, some fantastic groups, both Smooth and Misfits. Come and check those guys out. Also check my Facebook out, which is RJC Models Official. Thank you guys for watching this one. Keep your eyes out for part 4 of this Escort. Also, what I'm going to show you guys as well is, because this one's going to be on a dyno, next video I shall reveal the service barge, or the van that I built to go with this one. I built the Italeri 1/24 scale Transit Mark 2 in my own livery, and it's going to be in the privateer's livery of this particular race vehicle. So keep your eyes peeled for that one in part 4, and I shall see you guys then. Thanks very much, guys. Bye.